from the Pinellas County Schools Administration Building in Largo. This is PCS Journal with Al Rochelle.
Hi everybody, Al Rochelle, and welcome to the PCS Journal. So glad that you could join us today, where we sit down and chat with Dr. Michael Grego, Superintendent of Pinellas County Schools. Dr. Grego, good to see you.
Great to see you too, Al.
One thing over the past 20-some years that I've been doing this program, and I haven't even counted because it's been so many, is that, you know, when the school district is attacked or when the school district does something wrong, we are the first ones that talk about it. We don't wait for other people to criticize, and we're real straight shooters about this thing. Recently, a local newspaper took some shots at the district, basically claiming, and apparently they may have gotten the statistics from you, I don't know, that over the last 5 years, I believe is what they used as a matrix, that the African American community, black students, have been disciplined and or suspended and or arrested at a greater proportion than any other students within the district, and one of the highest in the entire state over the last 5 years. Your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, we knew that this was happening 3 years ago when I first became superintendent. It was part of our strategic plan. This board and I took a look at everything from arrest records. We met, as you know, about 2 years ago. We pulled in the sheriff, Sheriff Galtieri, and all of the chiefs of police of the many municipalities that we have in Pinellas County. We sat down, we developed a memorandum of understanding. Every single one of the chiefs of police and the sheriff signed that memorandum of understanding. I believe that's the only one where everyone across the board in the state of Florida signed. Mm-hmm. We also then conducted cultural sensitivity training with the SROs, which are really their employees. People think that we do these arrests. It's really the police officers
right, yeah,
do the arrests.
Right, yeah.
But we had multiple trainings between the principals and the SROs, that partnership at the schools. And over the last 2 years, we have seen a 51.5% decrease in arrests. Specifically, we've seen a tremendous decrease in African American male students being arrested.
And why do you think that is?
Because of the training and because we made a plan. We developed a plan. We gathered people around that are impacted by arrest, and we also gathered people around who are making those decisions on arrest, and that's the police officers and the school administration. And we expanded this training. We expanded the training to teachers and individuals who provide really referral information. Mm-hmm. And the first 62 days or 60 days of this school year, we're seeing some drastic decreases in referrals. We're seeing drastic decreases in suspensions, both in and out of schools. And we're seeing schools in the district developing plans for alternatives to suspensions, Saturday detail, or an alternative bell schedule where they're allowing students to make up some work and not lose credit. We're trying to save the child in terms of he or she may have made a very bad decision, mm-hmm. but the fact is our task is still to keep order in the classroom. Every student who goes to school deserves an opportunity to learn. And so we're seeing some very positive trends in referrals and suspensions and arrest. And we're going to continue this training.
Now, the implication, and again, I'm reading between the lines, and if I read something wrong, I'll apologize right now for it. But the implication is that the school board is, in quotes, in even one of the commentaries, is turning a blind eye to this, or they're not taking it seriously, or in another phrase they use, they just don't get it.
Well, to the contrary, our school board has supported alternative forms of educational system, our Pinellas Secondary. We just opened up the academy, the Pinellas Academy, where we closed down a charter school, or a charter school closed down, and we opened it up, in which we have 3 sessions, an early morning, an afternoon, and an evening session that ends at 7 p.m. to try to provide services to students in an altered way, students who are not being successful in a traditional high school. Mm-hmm. So anything, the contrary is that our school board has provided tremendous numbers of student stations. Lilman Innovates is another example. We put $9 or $10 million into the completion of the upstairs of that building and built a construction trades culinary lab out there, and we're enrolling students who are having either behavior issues or just are not being successful in traditional high school.
There's the other implication that the school board, and I know these are tough words for you to hear because I know how hard you work about this, but there are other implications that not only do you not get it, but that you're trying to do a, in quotes, PR job to try to cover up some of these problems at these lower performing schools. Even though I will just say this, I've been looking back at some of our shows and we have spent at least 36 minutes in the last 3 months specifically talking about what plans were in place. I know you don't want to overreact, but you also want to be straight shooters with the public and saying, we are taking this seriously. Things are getting done. And you just hired somebody, interestingly enough, when it comes to this disciplinary stuff. Tell me about that.
Well, let me go back to the other point first.
Okay.
One of the strengths I believe in working together with our school board is the development of a strategic plan. And we sit down over a period of 3 to 4 months and identify those things that are non-negotiable or we need to get better at.
Right.
Very different than developing things of what should we do this year.
Mm-hmm.
We look for things, our graduation rates or promotion rates. We uncover the areas of needed improvement and then we start focusing in on those. So to anyone who's looking at our school district, we work very hard to identify those areas of needed improvement, i.e. arrest or disproportionate referral systems for African American students. We've identified these things. We've exposed them. We're working collaboratively to really improve these types of things. The same way with the individual that you're talking about of hiring to help with some of our state supervised schools or the scale-up schools.
Right, yeah.
This was an individual that we decided that from our school improvement grant. It's not a new concept, Al. It's not something, it's a reactionary, but it's something we're evaluating the need. We see that there's individuals with that skill set. We put out a director of leadership improvement, and in this position, this is an individual who has experience in turning around struggling schools and working with high poverty schools. And he's been very successful, and he has a desire to come and work with us, work side by side with our TNTP, which is a national organization that's helped with leadership development and curriculum enhancements. And so this is why we're on a trajectory of improvement. We're not trying to hide anything.
Right. I mean,
we're trying to find out the strategies that work and then provide the support and the time for these things to work. And we're seeing that both academically, behaviorally, that these things are getting better.
And even though there was the criticism in a series that a local newspaper, whose name I will not mention, a local newspaper did a series, is that when the education commissioner came down here, he looked at the numbers and he said, yeah, this is a problem. But he also said very plainly, I do not agree with many of the conclusions that have been reached. And the conclusions, the implication seems to be, you know what? Black kids were better off when the schools were integrated than now that they're segregated. Or vice versa.
Yeah, well, Secretary Duncan, he and I had an opportunity to meet privately, and he reviewed and I shared with him our plan. And he was very impressed with that plan. And he said, quite honestly, in my experience, both in the city of Chicago.
Yeah, hello, Chicago.
And others, he says, you're doing everything that I or anyone else in this country has ever attempted to do and has succeeded. So he said, keep on keeping on.
Right, yeah.
Keep on the path that you're at.
Criticism is okay. Criticism always makes us better, but criticism that's aimed at being disruptive sometimes. And I'm going to repeat these statistics. You gave them, but I'm going to give them again. 18% reduction of referrals overall of the last year, 19% reduction of referrals issued to black students, 15% decrease of in-school suspensions, 13.2 decrease of out-of-school suspensions for black students. The number of suspensions given to students was reduced by 1,000 compared to 2012 and 2013. And again, as you said, between 2012 and 2015, student arrests have been reduced by 51.5%. Should people have confidence the school board is doing enough soon enough? And I'm talking about people in the African American community.
I think that yes, to answer your question, I think we need to have confidence in working together. This is not a 7 people or 1 superintendent ever solving any of these problems. It will never happen.
Right.
What we need to do is to start to be more accepting of the work that's being done. These are good people. Like when Reuben Hepburn, who's the principal at Gibbs High School, that referral rate went down and there's a 41% decrease in out-of-school suspensions for black students there. Reuben Hepburn is a wonderful, strong leader and will lead that school into greatness. And we need to rally around him instead of being critical of his methods or styles.
But again, as you say, criticism is how we all get better. It's just it needs to be accurate criticism and not something that's based on implications. Let's leave that because like I say, we have talked hours on this subject about getting things done. Now, this is very interesting. So we had these school grades, and now apparently the state is going to be doing something called the simulated school grades. What is that?
Well, the simulated school grades are placed out there because the Commissioner of Education is making some recommendations the first of the year. I think it's January 6th, a state board meeting. And she's recommending cut scores for levels, level 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and then cut scores for between the A, B, C, D, and F range. Recognizing, and I want to remind our audience that this year is the only year that learning gains is not a part of the formula. So that's right. Why these were called simulations. And it was treated, all districts, all schools in the state were treated the same way. Now the superintendents went on record to say, these simulations, you're only taking 3 measurements for elementary school, where in the past we had 8 and now 7. So it's really just a very cursory look at it, and that's why they're being called simulations.
And also simulations because not a lot of people had much faith in this last round of testing because it was something new, and of course we have talked about that extensively here. So what's the bottom line for Pinellas schools? If you put any weight in the simulated scores, how'd we do?
Well, we did absolutely wonderfully, and it goes back to the point we were talking about before. If we stay the course, we develop a strategic plan, we have a plan for academic improvement also. We went from last year, out of the 9 large school districts, being about 7th or 8th in terms of the percentages of A's and B's to being number 1. We have 59% in the simulation.
Yeah,
so we compare apples to apples across the district. We may not have a tremendous amount of faith in that, but the same treatment is being done to schools throughout the school districts throughout the state of Florida, and we see a tremendous increase in A's and B's. We had a reduction of F's, a reduction of D's, a reduction of C's, and these schools went up to the A's and B's, even under this simulation. So, we need to celebrate in some regards to the professional development, to the hard work of our teachers and our paraprofessionals and our principals, and not just keep criticizing, but saying that this is starting to take hold. Our students are starting to do better. More and more students are taking AP classes. They're succeeding at those. This pipeline of excellence is starting to go through our school system.
And the data, and as they always say, because I know you're very data related, all the teachers remind me that, is that the data proves it. So, let's talk about the last 1 or 2 years. You'll go back 5 years, yeah, maybe been a lot of problems, but that was not on your watch, and the board has been making a lot of sweeping changes, it appears on that. A couple of other things here. We had so many good things that I would like to have talked about. You got the Outstanding Educator of the Year that's coming up. You got 10 people that have been named, and every year, I've been around a long when I recognize 3 or 4 of the names of these people. Randy McGonigal from Palm Harbor University was one of my son's teachers. This is such a great program. What does it do for teachers in general?
I think it gives them a great boost of just energy throughout the profession. 124 nominees. They're all winners, Al. They're all champions. They're the heart and soul of our business. And without them, we couldn't do what we do every day. And so it gives us all an opportunity that on February 2nd, 2016, Ruth Eckerd Hall, we'll have an evening dedicated to them and to the profession of teaching. That's great. Which it should be one that we, as a community, encourage others to go into. It's one of the greatest professions.
Like I say, the fact that I knew so many of the teachers is wonderful. A couple of other things we want to mention. The application period begins very soon. That's January 6th to the 15th. Right. A couple of other things. I do want to mention this, though, because as we go into the holidays and kids driving, at Clearwater High School, tell me about that 10th annual Safe Drive Contest.
Well, Clearwater, and Keith Masterides is the principal, really has a focus every year on safe driving, not only around the holidays, but it's a reminder to all of us, adults and students, about the dangers of drinking and driving and the dangers of texting. And that's not only around the holidays as you drive around the streets of Pinellas County. Let's put those phones down and let's be really smart about the holidays in the season. We don't want to lose anybody.
Right, and this was done in honor of Anthony Teleska and the Anthony Teleska Foundation. He was a young teenager who lost his life in one of these car accidents, and was involving a drunk driver. I mean, especially this time of the year. Lastly, you got a chance, we're ending up this part of the year, going into the new part of the year. Any kind of well wishes that you would like to give to our crowd?
I certainly will, and to you too. And thank you for doing this show for so many years. You mentioned before 20 some odd, let's say just call it 20 plus years.
Yeah.
But just a real holiday wish to everybody. However you celebrate this holiday season, just enjoy the family and the friends. Have a restful, joyous loving holiday season, and we'll look back forward to coming back in the year 2016. It's so weird to say that, and to really full of energy and doing this work. It's great work.
Yeah.
And it's work that is never finished, Al, as you mentioned.
That's
throughout
true.
this
Right,
show.
yeah.
And it's work that we have some truly dedicated people to do. So I just wish everyone a happy holiday season.
Yep, a work in progress, as they say. And by the way, any comments about this program, I'm going to give you my email address that you can write me and talk to me. A lot of you folks do when I see you around the Bay Area and have me questions. It's al.ruechel, spelled R-U-E-C-H-E-L, at baynews9.com, and I promise I will read your email and I will respond, and if there are questions that you have for the school board and Dr. Grego, we will get that to you. We'll be back with more right after this, so please stay with us.